Hello, Jim Stroud here. They say AI is coming for your job. In some cases, it already has a job, or at least is on the verge of taking it. And for that reason, many people see AI as a threat, a clear and present danger to their livelihoods. And I can understand that. But let me give you something else to think about. What if the real threat isn't AI replacing people, but replacing purpose? What if the future of work isn't a zero-sum game between humans and machines, but a test of whether companies can still choose humanity when efficiency is so much cheaper? Let's talk about it. Act one, the AI invasion, what IBM quietly taught us. The chessboard has shifted. HR isn't just reacting to change anymore. We're in the crosshairs of it. And nowhere was that clearer to me than when IBM quietly restructured itself in early 25. Hundreds of HR professionals were replaced by AI with almost no warning, no viral outrage, just a tidy press release and a promise that we're hiring elsewhere. At least the way I hear it. The subtext, as I see it, if your work could be automated, it already has been. For IBM, it was a business decision. Tasks like processing vacations or answering routine benefit questions eliminated. No malice, just math. But for those employees, well, the pink slips weren't accompanied by retraining or thoughtful transition plans. The door just closed quietly, quickly, leaving the employees out in the digital cold. And here's the kicker. The first big plot twist that should make your spidey sense tingle. IBM's AI now handles a staggering 94% of 11.5 million HR queries annually. That's not evolution. That's a replacement strategy. It's a full-blown technological revolution happening behind the scenes, a digital coup in the cubicles. Act two. This isn't just IBM. It's a pattern. Let's zoom out. IBM wasn't a one-off. It was a signal, a beacon in the night, showing us the path many would follow. In just a few months of 2025, the pattern became pretty much undeniable, right? You had UPS, which laid off 20,000 workers, which is the biggest layoff they've ever had. The biggest layoff they've had since they had horses pulling their delivery wagons, all thanks to AI-powered logistics. And then you had Microsoft, Google, Meta. They made AI first operations standard, trimming fat in mid-level engineering roles. Translation. If a bot can do your job, don't bother logging in. Your badge just might stop working. Even the banks, and they're usually the last ones to blink on this kind of stuff. But they quietly started pulling the same kind of levers, right? So customer service, compliance, operations slowly being handed to machines that don't take coffee breaks or file lawsuits. And then there's Klarna. A little shade towards Klarna. Their chief exec flat out bragged the AI replaced 700 customer service agents with no sugarcoating, no talk of upskilling, just same volume of inquiries at a fraction of the cost. Bad, Klarna, bad. Now, you may want to call it strategic realignment. You may want to call it AI optimization or whatever. But whatever you call it, at the core, it's a reshaping of the workforce where cost cutting trumps conversation. Meanwhile, anxiety, anxiety is creeping in. Anxiety is flooding in. A recent survey found that 30% of employees fear AI will take their jobs away, and that's not hysteria. That's awareness. It's the corporate equivalent of a slow motion car crash. And many people feel like they're in the passenger seat. The irony of it all, though, is that when you rely on AI so much, as these companies are, it's a mistake to an extent because AI is not perfect. When it goes unchecked, it backfires. And when it backfires, it can backfire spectacularly, right? I remember this case where these lawyers used ChatGPT to prepare for court. And in their briefs, they had 6 completely fabricated cases. ChatGPT just made it up, and the judge was not pleased, to say the least. And although they said, hey, it wasn't us, the machine did it, they still got the sanctions. So human consequences for over-reliance on AI. Then there's another example I'm thinking of with Air Canada, right? So Air Canada had this issue where a chatbot misinformed a grieving customer about bereavement fare refunds, right? And the company was held liable because even if the AI makes a mistake, the company is still responsible for whatever the AI says. So if you're using AI to explain company policy, you better make sure that it understands it, right? And then I remember this example of fake real estate listings. There was one where there was an article I read where AI just created a list or created schools, right? They wanted this real estate listing to be attractive, so AI just put 2 schools near the property that was for sale to make the property more attractive, but those schools didn't exist. Yeah. And then you have other examples too. I can name. You have like CNET. They had a big kerfuffle. That's my word. That's my word of the day. Word kerfuffle around some financial advice that was full of inaccuracies. Right? It's so weird, It's like you can give a super soldier serum. Another Marvel reference. You can give super soldier serum to a toddler and they may become Captain America, but they become powerful, but they're prone to chaos. And what's funny, strange, not funny, haha. What's funny is that in every single one of those cases that I mentioned, the failure really wasn't AI if you think about it. Right? It really wasn't AI's fault. It was the absence of human oversight, because efficiency is great and everybody loves being productive and efficient and so forth. It's a noble pursuit. But when you cut corners on oversight, you're not really saving money. You're gambling. You're gambling with your reputation, with your credibility, and potentially your entire business. It's a high stakes poker game where the chips are trust and the cards are AI. Well, like I said, AI ain't perfect. It can stumble and fall. So what does that mean for companies and for us? What's the true cost of cutting corners? And how do you build a future where everyone wins? Well, I'll go more into that after this. Are you actively seeking work or maybe just open to new opportunities as they present themselves? Well, here's something that I really want you to think about. You ever wonder what ChatGPT says when someone asks who's the top expert in whatever field that you're in? Well, with Prompt Monitor, you don't have to wonder. You can see it. Prompt Monitor shows you if, where, and how often your name is being mentioned by AI models. I'm talking about ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, DeepSeek, and others. Why does that matter? Well, recruiters are increasingly asking AI to find talent. And if you're not being cited when they are prompting those types of questions, then you're pretty much invisible. But no worries. Here are 3 ways you can use Prompt Monitor to flip the script to your advantage. 1, use Prompt Monitor to track your AI visibility. You can discover if your name appears in AI responses tied to your industry, skills, or achievements. 2, you can use Prompt Monitor to audit your digital footprint. If you're missing from AI mentions, it's a sign to beef up your online presence. Publish on LinkedIn, contribute to industry blogs, and optimize your bio so LLMs like ChatGPT can find and reference you. Then 3rd, reverse engineer influence. Use Prompt Monitor to see who's being mentioned, analyze their content and backlinks, and build your authority by strategically sharing insights using similar language and getting cited by reputable sources. The future of job search isn't just about who you know, not anymore. It's about who the AI knows. Prompt Monitor helps you become the answer AI gives when opportunity knocks. Check out Prompt Monitor for free by going to the web address on the screen or click the link in the podcast description. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to the show. Act 3, the trust crisis and why it matters. All right, so before the break, I talked about some of AI's failures, proving that even the most advanced technology still needs human oversight. Now I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about brand. Because even if your layoffs earn a round of applause from Wall Street, they rarely play well inside your own walls. It's like having a shiny new car with no engine. Looks great, but it's not going anywhere. Ask the teams left behind after IBM's little shift. And I bet they'll tell you that morale didn't skyrocket after IBM announced all those layoffs. Engagement didn't climb. Most likely, I bet, and it's pretty much a safe bet, that fear rose exponentially, right? When your people feel expendable, your culture starts to rot quietly from the inside. And trust once lost rarely comes back without a cost. You can't tell people you're next with a smile and then expect high engagement scores. That's not a strategy. That's a delusion. And the irony of all that is that these same companies later struggled to hire the very talent needed to run their shiny new AI systems. Now, I'm looking at Klarna. I'm looking at you, Klarna. Trust erodes, talent walks. The long game starts to look like a slow leak, eventually deflating the entire operation. But not every company is getting it wrong. Thank goodness. Some companies are doing it right. Here's a couple examples. I'm thinking of Salesforce, right? So Salesforce had pledged to upskill workers before introducing AI. Let me just hand clap to you, Salesforce, for that. And Microsoft, to their credit, they created an AI ethics review board to ensure decisions stay aligned with human values. I'll give you a hand clap on that too. Now, they're not just being nice, Salesforce and Microsoft. They're being smart, in my opinion. They understand that trust is currency, and once you burn it, it's hard to buy back. And this makes me want to give a prediction. Not really a risky prediction. It's pretty much safe, I think. The companies that will win big in the AI era aren't the ones who are going to automate first, right? They're not the ones with the most advanced technology per se. It'll be those companies who remember why they hired people in the first place. Act 4. AI first versus human first, the real branding battle. All of this brings us to the core conflict, the true battle for the soul of the workplace. AI first branding versus human first branding. These are the narratives, and they are in tough competition with each other. So you have on one end, you have the AI first brands, right? And they're driven by structure, scale, and speed. They're efficient, but emotionally sterile, right? They promise innovation and cutting edge technology, but they risk losing human connection. They risk losing authenticity, and they can be perceived as valuing technology over people, right? It's like another Avengers Marvel movie reference. It's like that robot Ultron that the Avengers fought in the second Avengers movie, right? It's the robot was brilliant, right? But it was cold. It operated on hard logic and was devoid of any empathy, you know. And ultimately, it led to its own self-destruction, right? So that's the AI first side, the AI first brand. On the other hand, you have your human first brands, right? And so those are anchored in empathy. They're anchored in storytelling. They're anchored in trust. They're imperfect, but they are magnetic. They're expressive, empathetic, nuanced. I say empathetic a lot, don't I? But it's true nonetheless. They're nuanced. They build trust and emotional engagement. I think the hybrid approach, really, much like Tony Stark in his Iron Man suit, combines the strengths of both. You got to have, as a company, you got to have the heart of human first paired with the clarity of AI first. It's like having the ultimate power couple, right? And here's a surprising plot twist, right? For companies that don't go with this hybrid approach, who are just purely AI first in their approach, well, that approach often fails. And when it fails bigly. Let me throw a little shade here at Klarna. Apologies to anybody from Klarna who's watching this. Can't help myself. When Klarna went all in on AI first, we're going to save money, we're going to be so efficient, the users revolted, right? And they said, if AI is first, then we're last, right? Because ultimately, people want to feel like, yeah, machines are great, but at some point, if I'm having an issue, I'm going to talk to a human being, right? So Klarna, in their wisdom, I will say that, Klarna, in their wisdom, they said they started, let's do a little bit of a moonwalk, right? And they admitted that cost cutting had been overemphasized at the expense of service quality, and eventually reverse course, rehiring some of the people that they let go initially. No, don't me to laugh, but yeah. So kudos to Klarna actually for realizing that mistake. They're not the only company though. They did a reverse thing, a moonwalk. Duolingo, yeah, they tried a similar path in April this year, 2025, and they had phased out contractors and instituted a hiring freeze unless a team could prove AI couldn't do the job, right? And the public backlash from that was swift and costly. Users said basically AI first means people last, right? And users vowed to cancel their subscriptions. And Duolingo's CEO was genuinely surprised by the outrage. They're like, "What? Why y'all mad?" You know, that was a paraphrase. But essentially, he was like, why y'all mad, right? It was a PR disaster. It really was. But they were able to do a bit of a moonwalk and fix things, at least last I heard. Not only was it other examples, see Klarna, who else? Duolingo. And then you have companies like Meta, Ocado, Chegg. They all had similar stories of layoffs tied to AI, leading to a crisis of trust, public skepticism, and even financial losses. Automation without compassion, that's not transformation. That's erosion. Wow, I'm rapping now. It's like Thanos, another Marvel analogy. It's like Thanos, after he snaps his fingers, realized that the universe he created is hollow and the victory is utterly meaningless. So these companies, in their pursuit of pure, unrefined efficiency, they lose something. They lose trust. They lose reputation, and ultimately, they lose their most valuable asset, their people. Yeah, they lose their people. Act 5, the hybrid model, where we actually win. So, where does this leave us? The human element in the workplace is almost buried in trouble, facing widespread layoffs and a future where 40% of companies plan to reduce headcount where AI can step in. It feels like we're at the bottom of the well, looking up at a tiny circle of light. But like any good hero, we extricate ourselves using our own skill, training, and brawn. And here's the opportunity that we have, and it's still within reach. The companies that thrive won't be the companies that were the fastest to lay off. They'll be the companies that were the fastest to retrain, the fastest to upskill their workers. They'll be the ones that follow these basic rules. One, they'll be the companies that kept humans in the loop. I mean, AI can recommend, but people decide. It's that Iron Man suit analogy again. AI is incredibly powerful, but it absolutely needs a pilot, a human hand on the controls. They're going to be companies that communicate clearly before restructuring, not after. I'm going to repeat that. There'll be companies that will win in the AI era. Will be those companies that communicated clearly before restructuring, not after. Please, please, please don't let employees find out from a press release that they're going to be laid off and replaced by AI. Honesty builds trust, just like Nick Fury building the Avengers one honest conversation at a time. All right, third rule I have here. Create real mobility pathways inside the organizations, not performative ones. Have your reskilling programs ready before you drop pink slips. You see, I'm trying to beat that horse. It's about preparing your people for the next battle, not abandoning them on the field. And then you want to use AI to augment, not erase the power of human creativity and care. Let it handle the grunt work, sure, the repetitive tasks, and free up humans to do what only humans can do, which is think, create, connect, empathize, innovate. This is the true superpower, the ultimate upgrade for humanity. You know, when you look at it, the truth of it all is AI isn't the villain. It's really like a mirror. It reflects our values, and like any powerful tool, it depends on who's holding it and why. It's like Thor's hammer. Incredibly powerful, but only worthy hands can wield it responsibly. The real test isn't about the machines, it's really about us. How we choose to wield the power says everything about our values, our vision, and our future. AI isn't destroying us so much. It really isn't. AI isn't really destroying us so much as it's revealing who we really are. It's time now for some shout outs. And today's shout outs have to go out to all of my subscribers over at the Recruiting Life newsletter. 9,000 strong and creeping up on 10,000 followers, at least at this point of this recording. For those who don't know, the Recruiting Life newsletter is where I share thoughts and opinions on what is happening now and next in the world of work. In a recent issue, I talked about neuroscience as it relates to recruiting, detailing the physical and psychological effects on candidates. And the feedback I received from that series so far has been pretty good. Comments like this from Keith Langbo, who thought my insights were captivating and crucial. Jeepers, thanks. Stephanie said spot on, to which I replied in my mind, aw shucks. But my favorite comment so far on this article has to go to Ashley here, because it was the longest and because I can feel the passion in her words. If you would like a shout out in a future episode, subscribe to the Recruiting Life newsletter and let me know what you think, good or bad. I crave your feedback. To subscribe, simply go to jimstroud.beehiiv.com/subscribe. That's jimstroud.beehiiv.com/subscribe, or click the link in the podcast description. Thank you in advance for your support. Well, my time is up. I thank you for yours. I'll see you again real soon right here with a brand new episode of the Jim Stroud Podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. I can be reached by email at jimstroud@jimstroud.com. And one last favor, if I may ask, please rate this podcast. 5 stars is preferred, but please comment with your honest opinion. I really appreciate that. All right? Okay, until next time, bye-bye.